Hi, my name is Crive, and in this video I'm gonna go over my 21 Ecodome. I'm gonna talk about the talents. I'm gonna talk about all the trash pulls and the bosses and how to approach them, and how you can actually bring in your Preservation Evoker utility for this key to its maximum effect, and hopefully help you time this key for yourself. I'm gonna start with the talents and the choices we have. I'm gonna start on the left side. I feel like it's nice to pick up Rescue with the Twin Guardian Shield talent, because it helps you, especially in the first pulls. There's this destroyer that puts a line on a person. Sometimes people don't have enough defensives to live, so it's nice to be able to rescue them. Otherwise, I feel like this talent doesn't really have a use case except for the last boss, where you could also rescue a person. In my opinion, I would probably drop this and just pick up more DPS, unless you're playing a very high key. Other than that, you could pick up Clobbering Sweep to help with knockups, but there's not really that many use cases, so I would not go for it. On the right side, I made the choice to go with Just in Time, and again, the only use case is kinda the destroyers here at the start with the lines, or the second boss with the spears. I just went for safety because it was the first time I went for the 21. So I wanted to go for the second TD charge, but I feel like in the future, if we go for a 22 at some point, I'm gonna drop it and go for more DPS instead, as I don't think that it's really necessary unless you want to be like in super safe. But just picking this talent for one boss feels bad. Other than that, I went with Time Convergence, but I feel like that double time could have a really good use case on the last boss. It feels kind of bad, but at this level, you start picking talents just for single situations where they just provide a lot of value, but there might be like less value for the rest of the key. I feel like Time Convergence had really great value for the whole key, except for the last boss. I would have liked to have double time there. I think if I play this key on a 22 eventually, I'm gonna go for double time just for the last boss, because it makes it a little bit easier to have Perma Dream Breath on the whole group. Now, let's go into the key. I'm gonna lower the volume a bit here. The way I structure my commentary is usually that I go over the problems in a pull, and then how do we solve them. So in the first pull, the problem is that on pull, there's lots of small little mites, and they're jumping people. They usually die pretty quickly, like within the first 20 seconds, but on pull, they're quite dangerous. So the way I'm handling this is by pressing Lumithars on pull. The reason I'm using Lumithars is because it doesn't pull aggro on me. If I start with reversions, then all the mites would instantly go on me. So I'm actually waiting with my reversions a bit. Or I'm trying to at least wait with them a bit, and I'm just pressing Lumithars. So the mites don't hit like first on one player. Yeah, you saw me press Lumithars and then the reversions. And I'm already getting aggro, so I should have had actually maybe held my reversions a little bit. And apart from that, this pull doesn't have that many problems apart from overlaps with the smashes and the destroyer lines, like here. Ideally, you want to have your, like, stop the overlaps. So if you see like a smash happening, I'm tracking it with bigwigs here. It's the small icon here to the left. If there's a line going out, and at the same time there's a gorging smash, then I will try to knock up to prevent that overlap, because it can one-shot. Other than that, I'm just keeping up my reversions on the group and keeping up Dream Breath. And I'm focusing the Gorgers. I feel like most people focus the Destroyer, but I feel like the Gorgers always live to the end of the pull, and they're, in my opinion, the more annoying mob, the more dangerous mob. Cooldown-wise, what I'm sending is usually my stasis here, but I'm holding the rest. And then when I go into the next pull, we have the same situation again. All these small mites are jumping on people. So what I'm doing here is I'm using Emerald Communion. I'm going back just to show it again. So here, I know there's a lot of damage happening at the start of the pull because of the small mites jumping. So I'm just using Emerald Communion here to keep the group top. And you see it was really important. But once the pull is set up, and the mites are being lowered or being killed, and I'm just in my Dream Breath, Fire Breath, healing setup where I just have like hots ticking on the group all the time. I'm just keeping them up, and I'm looking for overlaps of the destroyer with the gorger, and I'm just looking for defensive. That's like one problem, that a person runs out of a defensive. Two ways you can deal with it. One of them is you use your Lumithors again. You will get it back for the second pull, so you can help them with the Lumithors. Another use case is, or another, like a way you can help is with your TD on that person. If you see they don't have a defensive but they're getting a line, that one would be you rescue them. That's why I'm playing rescue. But I think it's like one of the only use cases here, these first pulls. And then there's one last trick that you can do is you can outrange the line. So if you don't have a defensive, I'm fine here right now. I'm just hitting myself. But if I would have no defensive here, I could just hover out of range, because these lines from the destroyers, they have a limited range. So if you just hover really far away, then they won't hit you. So now we're going into the first boss. I feel like the first boss, of course, is decently hard to heal, but it's within its limits. You can go for DPS, and one way you could maximize your DPS in this boss is that you just use your tip the scales on cooldown. I feel like it works quite well. I'm not doing it here. Usually when I play a key for the first time, I'm just going for keeping my group safe, but that's not always necessary. So you could, like, if I would play this key again, I would probably just send tip the scales here on cooldown instead of holding it, and not hold it for the intermission. And one thing you can do here that is quite nice for the intermissions, because I think the only difficult part here is the intermissions, kinda, is that you charge up your stasis right now on the first set of dots, on the second set of dots actually. Because if you charge it up now, like I'm doing it here, on the second set of dots here, I should get it on cooldown. Like the whole point is to get stasis on cooldown here. Then you will get it back for the second set, for the second intermission as well. And then I'm honestly kind of winging it here. I should play this better. Like the way you would usually like play this intermission is that you set up a life bind. So you would do this earlier than me. My group, I should have not let my group drop this much, but just set up a life bind, and then use your Spirit Bloom, and then when the group drops again, you can release your stasis. You can also send like your rewind here and your Lumithors. I think the intermission is the only thing that really hurts. So you can keep your Zephyr for the intermission. You can keep your rewind and your Lumithors for the intermission. One thing that's also really good here, a good tip that I can give you, is before every set of dots, you can put out Template only on the group. So I'm gonna skip ahead here. Or maybe the second set of dots here, coming in 11 seconds. No, never mind, that's the intermission. Let's watch intermission. But what I wanted to go over is that you just send out the TA, so you have echoes on the whole group, and then you wait which two people are getting the dot. And those two people you give the reversions. This way you have 20% increased healing on those two people, and then you follow up with an Echo, Verdant Embrace, Spirit Bloom combo. You can see me kind of skip this on this boss, because I have like a Hunter who can turtle, and I have a DK who always uses AMS to immune them. But that's a good way to deal with that. So here, that's like basically the setup I'm describing. Like you want to have like TA on the group, and then you just wait for the debuffs, who gets the debuffs, and then you would basically reversion. If it was on those people and they would not be able to immune, and then you would Echo again, and then Verdant Embrace the other one. So here I would like, I would ideally Echo, Verdant Embrace them, and then just cast a Spirit Bloom, and then they're usually fine. And then you get like Life Spark procs, and you just use Life Spark procs on them. I just used my Lumithors here because I saw the boss is dead without getting another intermission. One other great tip I can give you is whenever the thing is on you, and you have your Renewing Blaze up, it's really strong. I don't even press my own defensive, and what I mean by defensive is scales. I'm just using my Renewing Blaze it's really important that you play Focus of Life. That's the talent that makes your Renewing Blaze give back your health over 4 seconds instead of 8. That's the important part. But if you play that, you can just press Renewing Blaze. And then you want to Verdant Embrace the other person that has the dot. And this way, you heal yourself with your Renewing Blaze and you heal back the other person as well. And that makes it quite easy. If the other person immunes it, like for example, a DK immunes it with AMS, I would usually just Verdant Embrace the tank then, so I can get some passive tank healing. By me healing my dot, I heal the tank back up as well. If you play with a DH as well, you don't want to AoE these mites, because the mites, and also the DK, honestly, the DK, they get some funnel and more damage on the boss by having these mites be up. The DK gets mastery, a mastery buff, and the DH just gets funnel. So that's why you see me like do a bit of a lower DPS on this boss, because I'm just going for single target. So the problems in the next pull, where we're skipping the Sentinel, are that on pull you have 2 Gorgers who are hitting the group, and if there's overlaps of 2 Gorgers hitting the group, and the fast stalker jumping, your group could die. So you want to prevent that overlap by using Zephyr on pull, and by using Lumithorus if you have it. I'm using Zephyr here. I'm using Tip the Scales, just to keep the group healthy on pull when the Gorger is smashing. That's also what you want to look for when they smash the second time. So usually you get a second smash here. You want to have some healing prepared for that. So ideally, be ready to have some healing there when the second smashes go out, just to prevent the overlaps happening. Then one more thing you need to care about in this pull is that your tank is getting a lot of damage. These faceplates that you see here are mobs that do actually the majority of tank damage in this dungeon. Like if you look into a breakdown of the damage taken of the tank, then you will see that these faceplates do like 40% of the tank's damage in the whole key. And the reason is this buff that they get. You see this like small number here? It basically enrages them, and they do a lot of tank damage when they have this buff. So you want to keep an eye on the tank, especially when these faceplates have the buff active. One more thing you can care about is the Rune Stalkers. You see these Rune Stalkers, they always jump out and make the line on the ground. And they jump on a person that's like, I think it's the furthest person in the pool. So if you stand really far away from the pool, then the issue you will see is that if you stand it like here, for example, then this Rune Stalker will jump to you and be outside of the pool. And then it will jump like to a run, like the line is always aimed at someone, so it will jump usually through the person, maybe towards here. And during this whole time, you won't have any DPS, because all the DPS do is they have AoE here on the main target on the Sentinel. So if the Rune Stalker goes out, he gets no DPS here, he jumps through, he gets no DPS here, and then he walks back into melee. So this is the reason why these Rune Stalkers are always the last mob that's living. They don't have more health. It's not like they're tankier than the rest of the mobs. The reason why they're living is because people are baiting them like out, usually because they're standing too far away. So what you want to do is you want to stand close to melee, so the Rune Stalker jumps behind you, which is still close to melee. And then one thing you can do is you can use your tail swipe, for example, to stop the cast. This way they don't jump out the other direction. So if you have your tail swap ready and you have a global that's free, then I would suggest that you, like here for example, I should do a knock up here. And you see my DK knows already that this is a problem with the Rune Stalker, so he just grips it back in. But yeah, just try to stand close. Now we have a pull with the Sentinel. And at 50%, there's 2 problems with the Sentinel. One is that tank gets the frontal and it leaves a dot on the tank, so it's quite dangerous. You want to keep an eye on your tank's defensives here and TD the tank if you see him get the dot, the Arcane Slash. And he has no defensives. And you also want to heal him a lot here, because he will get chunked quite a bit. And the second problem we have is that the Sentinel at 50% obviously puts out, it goes in this phase where he hits like 1 player at a time with a 1.5 seconds cadence. And the way I see it work is that it hits like 1 player, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So there's like no dangers of overlaps. But he does a set of of like bolts or whatever you want to call it. So he starts maybe with Azor and he hits every player once, and then he starts a new set. So the fifth orb or the fifth whatever spark you want to call it could overlap, because he could like hit me and then start again with me and go back over the group. So you wanna be very careful to be mindful of that like fifth. Well, like at some point there's gonna be overlaps. At least that's what I want to say. And the way I deal with that is that I just keep my group primo topped, especially with the Farstalker. Like I just need to keep my group topped anyway, because the Farstalker could overlap with the mechanic happening, with like one person getting the spark. And that's why I always want to have stasis. Ideally tip the scales and Emerald Communion and my Lumithors. And you see right now I don't have any of those, so that's why I don't have my Lumithors and I don't have my tip the scales. That's why this is going to be a bit more difficult. But the way you would usually start this is that you tip the scales when he hits 50%, just to get the haste, so it increases your healing. You want to have like Dream Breath on the group. I don't have that here. And then you just start with your stasis, and then people should always press their defensives at 50%, you included. That's what I'm doing here. So right now you see me have like defensives for the first 10 seconds. My whole group has defensives. Blur, AMS, I have my skills, the Hunter has his stuff. And then once those run out, once the defensives run out, you want to then press your Lumithors. So ideally what I would do here is press my Lumithors exactly now, where the defensives run out. And you see me here, the tank has no defensive left, so I TD'd him here for the next frontal coming in like 1 second. And then after the Lumithors, you would usually just Emerald Communion to keep the group perma top for the next 3 seconds. And then honestly, the thing should be dead. This way you kinda healed the Sentinel being in this phase for like around 20 seconds, which should be enough. So that's what you see me here. I'm doing Emerald Communion. I skipped the Lumithors because I didn't have it. And now the thing should be dead. It's 10%, so I think we just didn't have a damage cooldown or something went wrong. And now it's just very shaky. I'm just rewinding here. But ideally, the thing should be dead at this point. But we made it work. I use late Lumithors here. And then for the rest of the area here, it's the same mob. So the problems and your solutions stay the same. You stay close to melee. So the Rune Stalkers don't jump too far out. You can knock them up if you want to. The Farstalkers obviously create issues, because now in the next pulse we have lots of Farstalkers. And they are leaping on the group. And they're also splashing with their hits. So you want to be close to melee, but you don't want to be on top of another player. So you don't get splashes of damage with the Farstalkers. And the best way to deal with the Farstalkers is to just have perma hots on the group. You might think, okay, the best way is to just do really good spot healing. But the best way to deal with Farstalkers sleeping on the group is to just have hots rolling on the group. And what I mean by that is have your Fire Breath on the enemies, like a long Fire Breath, 20 seconds. And then have Dream Breath on the group and have Reversions on the group. And this way, here I just got double leapt. I couldn't really do anything here. But the best way to deal with that is to just have hots rolling on the group. And here I don't have my Emerald Communion back. I don't have my Lumithors like I would like to have it. So that made it quite difficult. So this run didn't go according to my plan, at least. I'm used to having like a pull in between, but this way we played like Sentinels back to back, which made it hard for me to get cooldowns back. Usually you would like to have a pull in between 2 Sentinels, so you get your healing cooldowns back, like your Lumithors, your Emerald Communion, and your skills and stasis and so on. So for the next boss, the issue usually is that you have to heal and defensive basically all the mechanics that he has. Like you have to have a defensive for the spear, you have a defensive and healing cooldowns for the intermission. Especially the spears can become an issue. Like how do you heal the spears for a long time? How do you have a healing cooldown for every spear? And how do you keep the tank alive as well? Because the tank gets a bleed. The way I deal with it is I always dispel the tank on the first bleed. There's always 2 sets of bleeds in every phase. So in this first phase, he will do 1 bleed on pull, and then a bleed a bit later. And then like we'll get to the intermission, and then again 2 bleeds. I would always dispel the first one just to get it like on cooldown. Then the way I would structure my cooldowns here is that I tip the scales. I basically mentally assign 1 healing cooldown to each spear set. So this one is tip the scales. You want to also use defensives on the spears. Like if you get hit by a spear, 100% always use a defensive. I'm choosing to use my scales here. If there wasn't a fast stalker up, I would use Renewing Blaze. The only reason why I'm pressing scales here is because the fast stalker's up and he could leap on me and could give me a hard overlap. But later on in the boss, when there's no fast stalker's up, I would just use Renewing Blaze because you want to have your DR for the intermission. DR is better in the intermission and healing is better on the spears. So here I'm just using tip the scales. We're in lust, so the spears are dying pretty quickly. And then for the intermissions, I wanna always have my stasis up and Lumithors. So I'm hard assigning Lumithors and stasis for every single intermission. So here you see me like press stasis and charging up a Spirit Bloom on the first set here that people are getting hit. I'm pressing my Lumithors as well. And then you just want to make sure you top the people for the second set. So people should be topped at the end of the first set. That's the hard part. So here if we go back, we have the first set going out, 1 on Sotex, 1 on Diamond, 1 on Gripper. And they hit 1 by 1. 1 hits Diamond, second one hits Sotex, third one hits Gripper. And now at the end of it, I'm pressing my Lumithors because I want to top them for the next set. And I'm also like charging up my Spirit Bloom here. Just making sure I get top for the second set. So here we get the second set, 1 on Azor, 1 on Gripper, and 1 is on me. I want to press my defensive. I got Sec here from my Paladin, so that's good. And then I want to just release my status here. So that's the way I play it. And we got like actually... we got we failed to put a line through the boss a bit. So we got another one. And then you will notice when you use your tip the scales on the first spear, you get them back for the next set of spears after this intermission. So here you can like mentally assign your tip the scales to the second set of spears. You will beat the spell, your tank here. By the way, the bleed initial impact is also quite high. So if you see your tank has no defensives, just TD your tank here. Here, my Hunter and my DK just immune it. The Hunter turtles, the DK MSs it, so we don't get the spears at all. But I would just use my tip scales here, and that would be fine. And now we are just waiting for the second set of spears. By the way, the way the spears work is that it's always alternating. So if the spears are on Azor and Grippa first, then they are 100% on Sotex and me next. So you can kind of prepare, you know who they're on. So in this case, I knew they would be on me and on Sotex. And here I just sent tip the scales. The bad thing about this is that I don't have tip the scales for the intermission now. Like usually, the way I structure my cooldowns is that I tip the scales on the first spears when I start this boss, and then I tip the scales again on the first spears in the second phase, or like on the second after the first intermission, second phase I would call it. And then you get your tip the scales back now for this intermission. But since I just used it to heal these spears here, I don't have it back. But I'm doing the same thing again here, where I'm waiting for the first lines to go out, then I'm pressing my Lumithors and charging up the stasis. And then when the second lines go out, I'm releasing now my stasis, keeping the group perma topped, and that should be enough. So now we get one more set of spears, and here we are usually not having tip the scales. I have tip the scales here. You will not have tip the scales if you use it in this intermission. Instead, I would just use your rebind here. Rebind is really good on the spears. You just keep the people just wait until like a late point, like 3 stacks, maybe 4 stacks, and then when you can't keep up anymore with just your normal healing of Verdant Embrace, Spirit Bloom, then you will use your Rewind here on the set of spears. We get one more set of spears here, and usually you would have your tip scales back for this one. I don't. So here you could use your Emerald Communion, for example. And by the way, really important when you get an overlap like this. So you see Azor is caught in a spear, and he also gets the boss warp ability on him. Look out for these overlaps. Like pay attention to those. So here he has 2 stacks of the spear. He gets targeted. In this case, if you have something like a TD, give it to him. So in this case, I'm just TDing I'm TDing him, and I know he will take like a lot of damage. So I'm just Emerald Communioning here. I'm life binded to him, so my Emerald Communion not only heals myself and the overhealing goes to him, but also the life bind healing. So I'm just hitting him like a bunch here, and then I'm actually, I think, rewinding it right after because he's on 4 stacks. Yeah, I'm rewinding here now, and I'm keeping him alive through like 5 stacks here, as you can see. I was doing a lot of HPS on him. And now again, we just do the same thing. Lumithorus, charge up the stasis, and then release the stasis on the second set, like I'm doing it right here. And I was a bit late here, of course, since this was like unexpected, but we made it work. Now we're playing a pool with 4 Farstalkers. I think the polls will change, obviously. MDI is happening right now, so all the polls are subject to change. I'm just going over how you would approach all the single, like the mobs and their like the mechanics they have and how you deal with those. So here, like I told you earlier, just keep up double Dream Breath, do like a rank 1 Fire Breath, like you see me do it right here, and then you just keep up reversions. There's no point in single healing, like spot healing these Farstalkers. You just want to keep up your HOTS on the group and let them do the work for you. After every jump, the HOTS will slowly heal up the party. If you spot heal this, but with like Verdant Embrace and Living Flames, you're gonna fall behind really quickly. There's also one point where double time might be more useful, because you see I'm dropping my Dream Breath here. If I had double time for this key, it would obviously be useful on the last boss, but also here on these pulls. I don't feel like the Farstalker pulls are an issue though, so I would not play double time specifically for the Farstalker pulls, but it would definitely help here. Like if I had the perma Dream Breath on the group, it would be very helpful. Now, towards the next pull, there's actually a special interaction you can do if you have enchanting. I went enchanting for my group. So on this little orb thing you can see there in the pavilion or whatever it's called, you can now access a new ability. And this ability allows you to stun the mobs for 10 seconds. And if you use your oppressing roll before, it's 15 seconds. So here what you see me do here, I pull for my group. And I'm just pressing I'm like pressing roaring, and then I'm pressing the action button, and then the mobs get stunned for a long time. So the issues you actually have with this pull is the Ritualist. The Ritualist puts a debuff on the group that you need to dispel, and also kicks. You can't really help with kicks, especially unless you like help your team with knockups, but you can help with the spells. Your group might not do what we do here, which is cage one caster, one Ritualist, and your group might double pull them. And the way you can still help your group as a Press Evoker is by using your stasis to do a master spell. You can store multiple spells in your stasis. So one thing I would do here, if you would play this as a double pull, is that you just store 3 dispels on the group in your stasis, and then whenever there's like the second dispel coming out, I would just then release my stasis, and this way you are fine for a bit longer with the dispels. And one more danger in a pull like this is the creepers. The creepers have a fervent strike, a gloom bite, and what fervent strike means is just that it attacks the closest target. So the tank always wants to be the closest target. And the Gloom Bite is quite heavy on the tank, puts a healing absorb on the tank. So if you were standing in melee, this Gloom Bite could also be on you. If you see this like be cast on you, blink out, because the cast of Gloom Bite actually stops when you're outranging it. So that's why you see my tank always like go in melee when the Gloom Bite is happening. So it happens on him and then he walks out. So the Gloom Bite gets cancelled. But obviously kiting all the time is pretty bad for your tank. He doesn't want to kite all the time because then the group is losing DPS. So the way he deals with it is that he calls for my time dilation, and then he stands still and eats a couple of Gloom Bites to his face, and then he goes back to kiting. Again, in this pulse you see with lots of Rune Stalkers, I think 4 or 5 Rune Stalkers. Don't bait them too far out, stand like close to melee, so that you don't lose too much damage on them from them jumping so far out. And also you can help with knockups here with Deep Breath. Just keep them stacked. Like if you see them stacked like this and they're jumping out, just Deep Breath over them. So they're stacked because your team will gain a lot of uptime from this. And again, it's a pull with 3 Force Stalkers. So you want to keep your Dream Breath up, you want to keep your Reversions up, just you don't have to spot heal too much. You just want to basically DPS here and keep your HOTS doing the work. One thing that actually helps with this area, I really don't like this area because it's so bright and it's so hard to see the lines. There's a potion you can buy on a trading post. It's called Black Inky Potion. And it turns your game to night. So this desert would be in nighttime and then it's much easier to see the lines. So that's one thing that can really help you. It's a really cheap potion. I think like 50 gold, Black Inky Potion. So that's quite nice. Here we get a new mob that we haven't played before, so a new challenge. It's the Pact Speakers, or the Pact Speaker. The other mobs we know already. Fast Stalkers, so that's the one where we just need to pay attention to the overlaps of the Fast Stalker jumping, plus any other damage happening. We have a Ritualist we need to dispel. We have the Rune Stalkers, so we want to be close to melee, but not stack on other people, because then the Fast Stalker could like leap on us and splash. And now we have this new mob, the Pact Speaker. And what the mob does is, as you know, casts Erratic Ritual and also spawns the Ghost. We want to help with both of those. On the Erratic Ritual, you always want to have a Lifebind combo and then combine it with anything else you have. Like, I think Lifebind plus Spirit Bloom is enough, but in a hierarchy, you want to layer it with something else. You want to maybe use Lifebind, Spirit Bloom combo together with Zephyr, or maybe you want to release Stasis, or you want to rewind. You want to always combine it with something. So here we get the Erratic Ritual, I'm doing a Lifebind, and I'm just using a Spirit Bloom and probably using Lumithars yet at some point. Okay, actually I'm greeting, I'm not using Lumithars. Like you see, the mechanic's not too hard to heal, but you just need to be wary of the overlaps, because we also have this Fast Stalker in there. So I should have not greeted actually here, I should have used my Lumithars just in case the Erratic Ritual is happening and the Fast Stalker is jumping on a player during their Erratic Ritual. So here for the next Erratic Ritual, I should probably just do the same combo again, like just use Zephyr instead here on top. So I used Lumithars here on the second one, but I could have just used Lumithars on the first one, Zephyr on the second one, and just do the normal Lifebind combo. Alternatively, you can of course do like a Communion or Rewind, anything you like. Just be careful of the overlaps with Fast Stalkers. You want to keep your group top, so actually Rewind would not be a good option, because you need to wait for damage to happen for Rewind. So I would advise you, as long as the Fast Stalker is alive, I would advise you to keep the group firm on top tier with like an Emerald Communion combo or Lumithor, Zephyr, just keep your group topped. But as soon as the Fast Stalker is dead, there's no extra damage happening on the group here. You can just focus on doing the healing in an efficient way. So here we see lots of faceplates again, and you see they're buffed. So here you want to keep an eye on the tank, and also keep an eye on here the spirit spawning. You can really help as a healer with those, especially if you are in your tier set window where you're buffed, and really destroy these spirit spawning. And spirit, as long as it's alive, it puts a shield on the mob that's stacking up. So the faster you kill the spirit, the quicker the text speaker also dies. So that's quite helpful. This way you don't need to heal more of these AoEs of the rituals as well. So now we come to the last boss. I see lots of problems with it, obviously, that we're gonna address. One of them is that the group needs to be perma-topped for every single one of the AoEs, because on a high kill like a 21 or 22, it will start basically dropping the group from like 100% to 5% health or something like that. So one question is, how do you keep your group topped right before, or how do you top it right before? Another one is like, how do you spread your cooldowns? How do you space them out so you don't run out of cooldowns eventually? And here my friend is actually trading me the Inky Black potion, so you see the effect. Look, everything goes dark, the lines are much easier to see. Also the ground effects are easier to see. And I think the way to deal with it, to keep the group perma topped, the best way would be actually to play double time. I don't have double time, so what I'm choosing to do here is to actually always do a life bind before it goes off. Like before the AoE is happening with Verdant Embrace, just to top the, like, give that extra little healing bump to my group. So here again, I would keep my group as pressing defensive. So yeah, best way to press defensive is on this one. In this one, by the way, it's always the second one in an intermission or in a phase. Second one is like the overlap where you get the circles, and that's the one where you want to press defensives, because you want to make the most use of your defensive. You want the most value of them, so you want your defensives to prevent the most damage. And that's the situation where you get like the big nuke on the start, and then the circles like 5 seconds later. So your defensives prevent the most damage there, and make this a lot easier to deal with. I played this boss really bad, as you can see here. I didn't pick up my ghost. Probably I'm also dying here because I just couldn't make it in time. And the reason was, when you glide, when you hover, you don't pick up your ghost. So for some reason, when you're in the air, it doesn't count or something like that. And now I fell a little bit behind on my healing because I lost my momentum. So this will make this boss a bit harder. But ideally, you want to keep your Dream Breath up here. You want to keep double reversion, and that's for sure possible. So you want to keep double reversion on every single group member. Keep double Dream Breath. Obviously, that's very setup heavy. So once you fall behind, like me here, it's very hard to catch up and to get like double Dream Breath, double reversion on everybody. But you see me use my my Verdant Embrace before every single set, ideally, just to top the party here. And all the combos you see me do now, they're just to catch up. So they're not the combos that I would usually do here, because I'm just behind. I'm just trying to catch up right now. So now, yeah, again, you want to Verdant Embrace here, like right before, to top the group. And then you can use a Life Spark proc, for example, just to make sure the group is like perfectly topped. And then you can Spirit Bloom right after. Another way you can deal with it, if you're having trouble topping the group right before, is that you actually time your Spirit Bloom in a way that the Spirit Bloom heal instantly goes off, but not the Living Flames that it's sending out, like the Chrono Flames, you know, that are coming with your Chrono Warden capstone trade. So if you time it perfectly like this, then you, like here, for example, I'm trying to like time it so it tops the group, and then the flames that are flying out are coming and hitting right after, and then topping the group after the hit, after the group dropped low. But otherwise, you just wanna like Spirit Bloom and Life Bind right before top the group, and then you don't care too much about topping the group afterwards. The important part is topping the group for the hit, so they don't get one shot. But yeah, I think with double time this boss would be a lot easier. I might just play double time. I'm losing a lot of DPS with it, I think. Like a little bit of DPS. But in the end it would be worth it, I think. Just to keep the group perma top tier, because that's the issue for the highest keys here. Just topping the group perfectly before every single hit. Otherwise you can just rotate defensives as well. But yeah, the way I would deal with it is just have like double diversion in the group, have double dreamer from the group, and then before every single one of the big AO hits, just echo the whole group, and then Verdant Embrace yourself. So they're getting the Verdant Embrace heal, and they're like 90%. And then you will have your Spirit Bloom for every single one of those. So you just use your Spirit Bloom so the hits them like right before, and then the life band will carry over and top them right after. Especially with the like Chrono Flames going out afterwards. Anyway, that was my Econom. If you have any more questions, then drop them in the comments below. I also have a Discord that is also linked down below with guides, tips for the other keys, and with tricks about like how to DPS, how to heal. There's like a healing guide for Preservation Evoker in M+. Go check them out if you want to learn Press Evoker, and see you in the next video.